for New York.
Welcome to this week's edition of New York Now. I'm Dan Clark. This week, we're taking a closer look at issues that affect the LGBTQ community in New York and what state and federal lawmakers want to do about it. But first, Karen DeWitt is here with the news of the week and more. Karen, thanks for being here as always.
Sure thing.
So Karen, this week the governor had a quarantine order. Finally, he's been warning about it for days, but he finally announced this week that people coming to New York from other states that are stricken by COVID-19 will have to quarantine for 14 days. This is a rolling list of states. Tell me what we're hearing about it.
Well, it's really a reversal of fortune for New York because, as we all well remember, we were at the epicenter of the disease, and states like Florida were saying New Yorkers who came there had to quarantine for 14 days. And now Florida, Texas, several other states, if visitors come from there to New York, they'll have to quarantine now. Or if New Yorkers want to go visit those states, when they come back, they'll have to quarantine. I mean, technically, it's a travel advisory, and it's going to be hard to enforce. But if they do catch you, you could face a $2,000 fine. So that's some incentive for people to obey this rule. The larger issue here, though, is there's no coherent federal policy. And I guess there's not going to be one during this pandemic. And so at certain points in time, some states are going to do well. Some states aren't going to do well for various reasons. I mean, the criticism of the states that aren't doing well now is they reopen too quickly. But the virus is very mysterious, and it just seems like it could come back places and wane places, and this is going to go on for some time.
The governor said on Thursday that they are going to be making random inspections of people who have flown into New York from states like Florida, like Texas. I think there's about a dozen states that are on this list that you have to quarantine if you're coming from. What are we hearing about the response to that notion that the state is going to have these random inspections?
Well, I guess that's one way to, scare people into obeying. In some ways, you could argue that the quarantines aren't really that hard to do right now because there aren't that many things open. A lot of people are afraid of going out. So essentially, you have to stay home, or if you're visiting family, you have to stay with them and make sure that you do all the precautions and that you got to get someone to do your grocery shopping, and then you're fine.
So also this week, there was a cut from the state. I don't know if it was proposed or if it was enacted from the state to local governments. I think it was somewhere like 20%. I think it was the Conference of Mayors that tweeted it out, and nobody knew about this. It was just made. They were told about it. What is this all about, Karen?
That's right. These various cities who have fiscal years that begin July 1st were told that they were going to only get 80% of the aid that was promised to them in the state budget. And Governor Cuomo and his budget director, Robert Mujica, had been threatening that without the federal Congress acting, which they haven't acted yet, the state's running out of money. Everybody's going to get a 20% cut, schools, hospitals, local governments. The catch with this, though, is the governor's budget office is saying it's a temporary cut. So if they do get the money restored, then cities will get their full allocation. The problem is cities aren't allowed to run a deficit. So they have to start acting July 1st. They're going to have to furlough people or do layoffs or borrow money from somewhere else or make some big cuts. So the cities are pretty nervous about it, although when I did talk to the New York State Conference of Mayors, they did say that they understand the situation. They know that the money isn't being spent on something else. It's just that the money's not there. So it's still just adding to the uncertainty of the times.
All right, Karen DeWitt, we'll leave it there. Thanks for starting the show with us this week, as always.